Governor Bobber. I like good day, doctors.
George Allen here. Good day, doctors.
Go.
You're watching Dr. Politics.
They're Dr. Politics. He's the one to see. Breaking down the news with sharp analysis. From Congress halls to campaign trails, he tells the truth when all else fails. They're Dr. Politics. Dr. Politics. Exposing the spin, the lies and tricks. Dr. Politics. Dr. Politics. He calls it straight, no politics as usual. Love from backroom deals to primetime fights. He sheds some light and sets things right. Debates, elections, policy. He cuts through all the DC sleaze. Oh, Dr. Politics. He's got the facts. Dr. Politics. No holding back. Dr. Politics. Go away. Dr. Politics, he's got the facts. Dr. Politics, no holding back. Dr. Politics.
Welcome all. It is December 26th, 2025. We are made it another year. This is our very last show for 2025. Welcome, everyone. Got the full crew in today. Don Irvine, David Shepard, and Chris Burnett. We're all here. I trust everyone had a really good Christmas yesterday, and Santa brought you everything you wanted, so to speak. And I am here in warm 70 degrees, Central Florida. Welcome, everyone. So
I dropped some topics in the chat. And
Okay.
I'm going to drop some other ones about some of the stories for the year too into the chat.
Okay, yep.
Well, I guess the big news, latest news would be the strikes in Nigeria against ISIS targets. And I think
Yeah.
the big news of the week is the GDP numbers, third quarter of 2025 at 4.3%. That's
That was the big shocker that caught Democrats off guard. I mean, we kind of all knew,
if that's true, and if it can maintain near that, 2026 could be a very different year politically than Democrats are hoping for.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw Chuck Schumer has got a video out where he's just every other word's the F word coming out of his mouth. Chuck Schumer. And I guess this is him to make himself be hip and cool by using the F word.
Yeah. I don't like that. That's one of the trends, especially a woman to use foul language. Unattractive, but anyone really.
That's very, very unattractive for a woman to use foul language.
It is. But I like Megyn Kelly. It's hard for me to listen to her podcast because she'll cuss, and I really don't need to listen to you. I mean, someone cussing.
I always say, Democrats would be dumb mutes if they couldn't use the F word because every other word in their vocabulary is the F word. It's like, but I mean,
well, the thing is, even if it, well, two things. Number one, if using foul language appeals to people, then we're a sicker society than they thought. And secondly, even if that were true, I wouldn't want to use such language.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the problem too now is that the president is dropping F-bombs.
Yeah.
On top of that, he's not helping that discourse.
Yeah.
No, he's not. But I did find it interesting, speaking of the president, renaming the Kennedy Center. I understand your opponent, because there's no other problems in Maryland's 6th District, Chris. April McLean Delaney wants to pass a law so the president can't rename anything else. Like, I mean, nice to see she's got her priorities in order. That's more important to her than transportation needs or jobs for the 6th congressional district.
I think you've heard me say it before. You know, you have, whether it's Trone or Delaney, you have out of district multimillionaires playing national politics at the expense of the residents of CD6. There are 1,000 other things she could be doing or advocating for that would actually help the residents of CD6. Instead, she's talking about the naming of the Kennedy Center. Misguided priorities.
Yeah, I mean,
Just for
I'm sorry, Doug. I mean, I agree. I mean, the thing is that it's CD6. Let's talk about issues in CD6. If you're in CD8, talk about issues in CD8. You know, Trump should not be a factor there, but the Democrats always want to drag it in, thinking that that's going to give them an advantage.
I mean, it's as empty and as transparent as swearing. You're doing this gesture, and it's just that. It's an empty political gesture. Focus on the problems you've been tasked with solving.
And I think they want to do a law that so the president can't rename anything else. And I was talking to one of my neighbors down here. I go, yeah, why don't we rename the Washington Monument to the Trump Washington Monument? We rename the Lincoln Memorial. We could get a nice carving of President Trump next to President Lincoln. We call it the Trump Lincoln Memorial. You know, really, I mean, that's really what they're asking for. I mean, this president, you know, I don't think he'd do that, but maybe he might build his own, build a memorial to Donald President.
The Ford Trump Theater.
Yeah, I mean, the quite part of the thing is, first of all, we got to, you know, we'll have to figure out whether or not renaming the Kennedy Center is even legal.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, it was created by an act of Congress, and that seems to be kind of, you know, iffy as to whether or not what he's done there is even within his powers to do so.
Well, was it the president or was it the board that said, hey, we're going to...
But the board, you know, look, the board, you know, he set that board up so that, you know, they're all like, oh, we should do this, you know, because he deserves this. Like,
and is he also the president of that board also?
He's got, there are a few liberals left on there, but
yeah,
I mean, it was...
Oh, you know what's funny? One of the liberals was complaining. I was muted during a Zoom call. You know, welcome to our world, because that's what the left was doing to us, you know. I mean, we all remember when Nancy Pelosi was speaker the first time, where she had a meeting where she locked the doors and the Democrats went out another door to walked out a different door, and the Republicans were just waiting outside trying to get in because she locked them out. I mean, you know, turnabout's fair play, Democrats. You guys don't act like you guys are saints and haven't done stuff like this to our guys over the years, you know. And also, Don, the way I look at it, they've already spent the money to put his name on there. Why do we want to spend more money to take the name off now? You know,
but it's kind of funny though, because Trump is always, you know, he has an enormous ego. Okay, and so this is a big, but he almost kind of like, oh, thank you. This is such a great honor. It's like, yeah, tell me you didn't somehow suggest this, you know, and put this into the minds of the board members that you appointed to see if you can get this done, and see how much more. You know, if the Commanders, particularly the Redskins, if they actually build a new stadium, you know, it looks like he wants his name on that stadium. You know, I do think there is kind of a potential no end to the attempts that'll be made by Trump to put his imprint everywhere he can on anything he can, which is fine. I mean,
yeah, he pushes it. He's always been that way. And presidents in their final term are involved heavily in legacy building stuff. Now, they don't usually push their name as much as Trump, but part of it is a legacy sort of thing. And I'd also say that members of Congress, they do the same thing. They go all those post offices with their names on it.
And remember, we also got the Trump class battleships now.
That's right.
The Golden Fleet, you know.
Well, weren't the subs? They were the Ford class, right? They were named after Jerry Ford, I thought.
Were they?
Yeah,
I thought it was the Sea-Wolf.
I thought the Ford class subs or something. I thought that. But we do need, by the way, more ships.
I do like his idea of bringing back the battleships. I think we have not had the days of the New Jersey and Missouri shelling Beckoff Valley in the 1980s in Lebanon. That was the last time our battleship saw any real action, I think.
Yeah.
And that's fine because and I think we all want our military defenses built up, but because we haven't spent the time and the money for so long, we don't really have the capacity to do much of this. We are now. It's going to take a while to get this rolling because we have ceded so much of this this capability to others. The same thing. We see how the drones. The Trump family is trying to getting into kind of the drone business, American drones, because we've got so many Chinese drones running around all over the world. But the same problem is that we've ceded technology and the right to do that to other countries. So I'm glad that we're trying to take that back. Finally, yeah, it's a good thing. And David, I mean, I'm glad that you brought up the post offices because I do have a memory of attending a WIRIC meeting many years ago when Roy Blunt was a congressman. And he would come to those WIRIC meetings, and this was when we were still at the old building, right?
Second Street, yeah.
Yeah, and he says, my report on what the House of Representatives is doing is that we named 50 post offices this week. And that was kind of his shtick. His line is like every week he'd just tell us how many post offices the Congress had been naming. So this is when the Republicans were in the minority. The Democrats were just very busy finding a way to name post offices. Just that was our big accomplishment.
Yeah. And the other thing about naming is the Secretary of War, Department of War. I don't know if that'll stick either, because would that be a congressional thing? Renaming an agency.
Yeah, the thing we're in a 4-year term, so we're almost done with year one. It's possible that some of the battles over this naming stuff will kind of wind its way through, and there'll be arguments back and forth. May or may not get resolved by the end of the term, but if the Republicans don't hold the White House, the next time around, probably most of these things will be rescinded. There'll be some kind of executive order, or Congress will come back and say, the definitely have to take control. They'll nix it right away.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was saying, the funny thing is, the other thing we need to worry about, what if, say, Hillary Clinton, in her old decrepit days, manages somehow, heaven forbid, become a president? She'd go around naming things after herself.
The other thing that Trump got his name on there apparently was this. It's now like the Donald J. Trump Institute for Peace at the State Department. So but something, I'm actually okay with something like that because he's worked really hard, at getting peace back around the world, and I think he's done a pretty good job so far. He's still trying to seal the deal, in Russia and Ukraine, but he's certainly done more than any Democrat has done in terms of when we've had these issues. So that within the State Department, I don't think that's a big deal. I don't even think I hear the Democrats howling about that too much. I think the Kennedy Center thing, partly like I said before, was created by an act of Congress. May take an act of Congress to rename it. I don't know, but that's definitely more front and center politics. You remember all the battle? I mean, just when they renamed National Airport to Reagan Airport, that was but naming BWI Thurgood Marshall, no problem.
Yeah, and the thing is, in the case of the Reagan Airport, I think they just added his name. I don't think they renamed it. It was still, but officially, I think the George Washington Ronald Reagan Airport. I thought, but they call it.
I think it's what is it? Is it Ronald Reagan Washington D.C. Ronald Reagan Airport or something like that? I mean,
but I thought officially they I don't know if they ever stripped Washington's name off it. I thought it was we call it the Reagan Airport, but I thought officially it was the George Washington.
Hey, if Mark for around.
Actually, I think that. Well, yeah. I mean, I mean, I think it's supposed to be referred to as maybe Reagan National Airport. I don't know.
Well, that's just
Reagan
I'm
National.
just saying the name officially, what we call it, and I think Washington's name is still attached to it. I thought George
Yeah,
Washington.
Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Yes.
And that was like part of the Reagan Legacy Project, you know.
Yeah. Grover's. That was Grover's plan, right?
Yeah.
Not the Grover thing.
I think, you know, we renamed Pennsylvania Avenue to Donald Trump Avenue. Why don't we just rename Lafayette Park to Trump Park, you know?
No, but
Don't give him any ideas. Come on.
Yeah, don't. But Gulf of America, he didn't name after himself. It's Gulf of America. It's not the Gulf of Trump or something.
But that would sound too much like Gulf of Tonkin Golf, you know, that's why.
Yeah.
It sounds too similar to that.
All right.
But it is, you know, what do you call it? I think, you know, it's fine if the president wants to name things, it's fine, you know. I mean, it's not just, and you know, the next step. I mean, by the way, speaking of Barack Obama, did you see that eyesore that's his presidential library? It looks like, I don't know what it looks like.
Brutalist architecture, I think, right? They call it
brutal. Yeah. I mean, you know, the metro's all
definitely brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal my eyes.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but Dwight, but you had mentioned, were you saying, has he commented on that? Because he gets a lot of heat for that, the design and the architecture. Has he commented on that?
I remember this morning hearing on television that he made a little video of him going out there and said it's going to be one of the most eye-pleasing things around.
Well, you know who's going to have trouble building a presidential library? Joe Biden.
Who's that? Is he going to be alive long enough to see it open?
Well, not just that, but who's going to want to donate? The guy was a disaster, and he ticked off lots of Democrats. That has to be privately raised.
Yeah.
I can't see him raising that much money.
Yeah. And, here is a rendering they have. It is like an ugly building. It's like,
yeah.
And if we compare that to the Bush Center,
or Reagan's library is beautiful,
or the Nixon Library in Yorba Linda.
Do they have a Spiritsy Agnew vice presidential library?
You know, I really think we should do that. That might be a project for the Agnew Society to do. Because he's from Rosedale, and I say we build. You know, actually, you know, we raise money because I know the Kroll Center is for sale, and we bought because Ray Kroll is the reason he got to be county executive. So I think what we do is we raise money to buy the Kroll Center to rename it the Agnew Center right on Route 40.
Mm.
And we could have his nephew, who is still with us and is a member of the Baltimore County Subcommittee. He could come to do the opening.
And I'll show up for the ribbon cutting.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, I like that idea. You know, but no, I mean, if I'm looking at the Bush Library, pictures of the Bush Library now, it is a beautiful library. I mean,
show us the Obama.
Oh, here we go. I'd be happy to show that to you.
I mean, the Obama thing, I was just looking at it, $830 million for that thing. And some people on social media are calling it the Death Star.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, this is like an ugly, ugly building. I mean, like here,
they're 225 windows. You know what this reminds me of a little bit, Dwight, though? Just a different shape. A different shape than the Wheaton Regional Library. When they rebuilt the Wheaton Regional Library, we were like, oh my gosh, what were they thinking?
You know, they put like they've got a swimming pool, then they got basketball courts, they got tracks. It's like what? And people complain how they can't find parking there.
That's hideous looking.
Mm-hmm. I mean, now let's look at some of our other favorite.
According to the Obama people, the foundation people, this is supposed to be expressing unity, like four hands coming together. I mean, unbelievable. Only these guys would think about this. Anybody else showing up to this is like, I don't understand what this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, if you've been out to Simi Valley and the Reagan, library, it's great.
Yeah.
Like is this the Nixon Center?
Well, I think the Trump library eventually will be beautiful.
It's
There'll
going
be
to
a
be
lot of
gold.
gold. I
A lot
bet.
of gold.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He's big on gold.
So will the Biden library have the auto pen? We can come see the auto pen.
Actually, it's not going to be the Biden library. It's going to be the presidential auto. It's going to be
It
the
should
auto.
be designed in some kind of a shape like an auto pen or something.
Yeah,
like
there you go. Yeah. Yeah. But to symbolize his open border policies, there shouldn't be any doors in the Biden library.
Yeah.
Hey, look at this. This is the George W. Bush presidential
No
library.
admission fee. Just come on in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Look at this. This
And
screams power.
If
This is
you need a place to
beautiful
stay, we've got some extra rooms
Yeah. There you go.
until
And
you clear immigration.
he leased the park center, from the park center, the old post office pavilion, make that the Trump. Actually, as president, he could probably sell it to himself.
But,
Yeah,
but David's right though. I mean, the thing is that, and the stories have been out there. It's just that, the question about, is Biden going to be able to raise enough money to put a library together like the past presidents? Now, they wind up being run by the government or by the archives, but you still got to come up with the money to actually put it together.
Yeah.
But the way that Biden left the presidency, he didn't lose. He basically abdicated. He then even just kind of gave up on that second term. And everything was pretty embarrassing. So I don't know. It's it was an ignominious end to a presidency.
Yeah, and the problem for him is that you'd think Democrats will have problems giving money to it because they're not happy with him.
Right.
So that's his problem. It's not what the country thinks of him in general. It's going to be what Democrat donors think of him, and that's
these things are not built on $5 and $10 donations.
Yeah,
you need big money from Democrats, and you also need corporations to come up with money to help do this too. And Biden, the way he left office and everything like that, doesn't get a lot of people too excited about, I think, donating to him. They may pull it off, and maybe it'll be a smaller library. I don't know.
Or a presidential bookmobile.
Hey, why not?
Well, they may do something with his pen. There is the Penn Biden Center, I guess, in University
of Pennsylvania. Penn Biden Center.
They may just expand that or do something with that.
Or maybe his friends in China will build the Joe Biden presidential library in Beijing.
Yeah, you know what though? I was thinking about this, that the University of Pennsylvania is attached in a way to Biden because of the Biden Penn Center, and that's got
Joe Biden didn't even go to the University of Pennsylvania.
Right? Yeah, he didn't go there.
Pennsylvania is a fine institution. I got a nephew that graduated there. I got some good friends that graduated from there.
Oh yeah,
it's not.
It's a great school. It's an Ivy League school, but from their standpoint, they've got to be regretting having such an association, I would think, with Joe Biden.
Why are they not building it in Delaware, at the University of Delaware? Where do you go? University of Delaware, Delaware State?
I think Delaware. Didn't he go to the University of Delaware? Or any
I think Delaware State might be a HBCU.
Yeah.
Maybe so. Well, he did corn pop.
Well, remember, he's claimed to be of other ethnic groups. Remember, Biden's made the claims that he was practically Jewish, practically Puerto Rican. Remember, he said he was basically raised in the Puerto Rican community.
That other Puerto Rican family of Delaware, the DuPonts. And
that's right. The DuPonts were good, too. Politically, the DuPonts were good.
Like the DuPonts.
Yeah.
Governor DuPont was a great guy.
Yeah, Pierre DuPont would have been a very good president. I think Pete DuPont, as he went by Pete, I think he would have been a very good president.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah. Except that one son that shot people up in Philadelphia. Remember one of the DuPont kids?
Yeah, I think there have been a few scandals with the DuPonts. Yeah.
No, he actually shot up his family. It was he was not Pierre's son, but he was like a cousin or something like that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but by the way, one of the things I was watching interesting because we're at the end of the year, and they have all these people doing this John Stossel did a whole thing on how the year of DSA, the Democrat Socialists. I was just floored by the stuff I was hearing coming out of these people that actually think socialism is going to work. They're all about socialism, this and capitalism doesn't work, and blah 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 blah. And they say, well, it's like European socialism. I go, European socialists are only happy when they're not doing anything bad because they don't control all the levers of power. As soon as they do, they're not going to be such nice guys. They're going to be just like the Soviet socialists or the German socialists,
Yeah,
the Nazis.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's just floored. And I am just shocked how bad public education has gotten. These kids get to college and think we're the bad guys. Where they say America's done nothing great. How about defeating totalitarianism, defeating the Nazis, defeating Kaiser's Germany, keeping the seas open for neutral shipping? What about getting to the moon, where none of these people, had or the space shuttle program, or
Curing polio.
Yeah, we cured polio, malaria too. Don't forget malaria, yellow fever, Walter Reed.
Yeah, Jonas Salk, and the polio
Right.
vaccine.
Mm-hmm. And we got these people, they don't seem to understand this, I think. These kids today, I just, as Bill Cosby once said, we got into a lot of trouble, but yeah, kids are stupid.
I don't know if
They're so stupid.
thinking critically about solving problems.
Hey, Chris, can you get close to the mic? You're not coming through totally clear.
Oh. Can you hear me? I'm on my
You're
cell
kind of
phone.
muffled.
It's okay. I mean, we can make it.
Oh,
There we go. There you go. That sounds better.
good. All right, that might be my bad how I had it set up. But I
There
think
we
the
go.
problem I'm having is that it's very easy to hit the victim button, and I think that's what's been pushed in a lot of universities. You should be thinking critically about your own ideas, about opportunities, and then looking at some of the challenges while acknowledging the progress we've made. And I think that we've completely overlooked the progress in favor of pointing out, what is how we feel about things rather than trying to solve them or understand them.
That's true.
Yeah.
And it goes back to, I mean, this is why people like Jamie Raskin get elected in the 8th district. Because everyone seems to think that, capitalism, for all the bad rap that the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, the DuPonts, the robber barons, as what they are called. Well, those robber barons made life better for everyone. Sure, they got rich, but so did everyone else. Because of free markets and capitalism, we wiped out poverty on the farms. People moved from the farms to the cities for jobs. They were well-paying jobs. Henry Ford.
Well, think about the alleviation of severe poverty around the world. It's totally changed now in our lifetime, which you now have. People are able to buy cars now all over the world.
And it's funny you mentioned that, because I remember when I was in college, I was talking to a very liberal friend of mine. And I go, look, there'll be a day when we'll see all the Chinese and every Indian will be owning 2 cars each. He goes, oh, we can never let that happen. Just think how bad the environment will be if everyone, nowadays, everyone in China is driving. They have households are having 2 cars in China. In India, they got 2 cars and a motorcycle. And they've got, we're still here. The polar caps have not melted, and we're doing well. But this was a big year. We had a lot of it started with the president's inaugural in January 20th of 2025. Joe Biden on the way out the door issued a bunch of pardons. By the way, has the courts ruled in on those pardons? If they were done by the auto pen, they can't be really. Biden didn't know about it.
I don't think we had a ruling on that, and there's still a lot of things to come down the pike on stuff that Trump has done as well. So
And I mean, we've got, price of gas. That is the one thing that I can point to right now. The price of gas is below $3 a gallon in Maryland, which is phenomenal. I mean, Montgomery County, we have the highest gas in the state of Maryland, I think, right now. Where gas is roughly still around 3. I mean, you can still find the sheets in Gaithersburg. You can get gas for 264, something 65, something like that.
That's beautiful.
Or to something, But I mean, overall, I mean, nationally, the price of gas is down. Even in Florida, the price of gas is it's just a little bit lower than it is in Maryland, but before it was significantly lower in Florida. That just shows the Maryland prices are coming down to the levels of Florida gas prices.
Well, and the CPI number came down to 2.7%
Yeah.
a few weeks back, so we got inflation easing.
Yeah.
I think we have to watch both the GDP and the CPI numbers and wait until we get a fuller report. There's a lot of distortions, incomplete information because of the government shutdown. I'll take the numbers as the government gives them to me right now, but I think we need to wait at least another month to see how, once they get fully staffed back up to say, okay, now we've got more data, and so we can see where we're going. But the economy has been it's been remarkably resilient. I mean, how many economists have they've been calling for a recession over and over and over again, particularly because of the tariffs. I'm not crazy about the tariffs, but it doesn't seem that the tariffs have hurt us that much yet.
And although, Don, remember, every time there's a Republican president, the Democrats pray for a recession. I mean, we had one of the best economies ever under President George W. Bush, and Tom Daschle and Democrats are praying for a recession. They were like talking down the economy. I mean, they did that for Bush Sr. too. I mean, remember, the recovery started at the end of the Bush term. We were seeing signs of the growth. Bill Clinton just took advantage of the Bush policies that gave him that roaring economy, frankly, and along with Newt Gingrich and the Republican Senate and House, they got a lot of savings done, cutting the size of government to welfare reform and all this stuff, which was undone by Obama. Undid all the welfare reforms.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, the president has got limited control over a lot of these types of things.
Yeah.
And so it's, as I've watched it over the last, 20 years in particular, it was just, you can see the politicians, they'll either take credit or blame, their predecessors. They'll take if things are going good, it's theirs, right? Even if it's just a month into their presidency. But if things aren't going well, it's the other guy's fault. I mean, I think Obama, when he first took over, he kept blaming Bush for things that weren't going right with employment, stuff like that, for over
he spent 8
year.
years blaming President Bush. 8 years.
Well, they finally had to own the economy, and everything like that. But I know he spent at least the first year, blaming Bush for things that weren't going right. And you're like, by that time, your people and your policies are in place. So it's not your predecessor's problem or fault anymore. But they love taking credit.
I look back on the presidential races, and I think 2012 is the one I don't totally understand why Obama got reelected. Maybe I thought Romney was stronger than he was, I guess. But
well, I think the part of the reason was you had CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, all the main, or as Rush would call them, the mainstream media really were pushing for Obama. Remember there was that interview Obama did where he said, "I'd rather be a great one-term president than a mediocre two-term president."
Yeah, look, I mean, I think with Romney, I think there were some issues there. I mean, one was that he was a very rich person. So the Democrats did a pretty good job, well, with the help of the media, trying to paint him as a little bit being out of touch. You remember having the dog on the roof of the car and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. The binder full of women and stuff like that, right? But he had all these kinds of things that he was saying that just kind of were goofs. Uh, there's no doubt in my mind that his faith played a part in terms of it stopped some voters from coming out. I think there's
John,
some
I think,
Republicans who
yeah,
just won't vote for Latter Day
I
Saints.
was, yeah,
Period.
and I would say in 2012, I think that probably had a significant piece to play where America is still a downright racist country that they won't vote for LDS American. It's like everyone says, oh, what about the religious bigotry on the left? And that's probably Mitt Romney definitely lost votes due to religious bigots, in the Democrat Party. And so,
Well, I saw
So
those
I'll
the
use,
money and the
yeah,
the
go ahead.
wealth. I think probably hurt him too at that
Yeah.
point.
So
I mean, let's be blunt, Dave. Every president has been
back at
vocal.
that time, I was attending Council for National Policy meetings. So CNP is lots of conservative leaders, and then there's it's a good couple of days of meetings. We had their panels and all kinds of stuff. It's all off the record, no media, all this kind of thing, with that. But I remember being invited to a, a meeting where Mitt was, and so Stu Epperson from Salem Broadcasting, he's an evangelical Christian, and he threw his weight behind Romney, and he told the CNP people, we need to do the same. Need to get our people out there, and they need to get to vote for him. Now, the schism there is that the executive director of the CNP is an old friend of mine, Steve Baldwin, and Steve Baldwin was a young American for Freedom guy, very good conservative in California and all that stuff, but he didn't like Romney at all, and he actually bucked that as much as he could until he finally left there. He just couldn't deal with that. I mean, but to me, if Stu Epperson is going to do this, that was a big deal. But
Yeah.
when you have the executive director of the organization trying to derail that, that's a problem. This is another problem with conservatives / Republicans, is that you have these schisms. They can't unite themselves behind candidates when they need to. I mean, look at this. Look at the the TPUSA meeting that occurred. It was there are people attacking each other. I mean, right? Ben Shapiro and Steve Bannon and Megyn Kelly, they're not on the same page. Tucker Carlson was there. What do we get from the media? All the infighting going on there.
Well, that's like Republican. That's one thing. I keep telling people Republicans, the Democrats are much better at kissing and making up, frankly, than we are. Just look at our last gubernatorial race, right? When Kelly lost to Dan Cox, the Dan Cox people didn't want Kelly's people anywhere around the campaign. And I think a lot of the Kelly people were not willing to go work with Dan Cox to get him elected governor. Is it Kelly's fault? No, but it is the fault of the fact that I think when you're the winner, you are supposed to be gracious and invite the losers into. I saw in 2010 after Governor Ehrlich basically beat Brian Murphy like a dead horse in 2010 when he ran for governor. He brought the Murphy people. He brought Brian Murphy out with him. The campaign. He welcomed the Murphy supporters into the Ehrlich campaign. We didn't see any of that with the Dan Cox people last time around.
Yeah, I mean, you remind me of when you had me run for state senate, which was
That was in 2010.
I know, that was pretty funny. So you remember there was a contested Democrat primary that year, right?
Yeah.
And
you did the second best of all the Republicans in the county. I got 36. You got 33.
So when the incumbent lost the primary, I was getting emails from his supporters about the possibility of them supporting me, and I'm like, That's never going to happen in Montgomery County. You are never going to actually vote for Republican.
Yeah. But I think a lot of those Democrats in 19, I think, did either skip. I mean,
Oh yeah, the vote total for the Democrats was down because of that. There are people. What was the guy's name? Michael Leonard, I think it was.
Yeah.
His supporters were mad. I mean, they didn't vote in that race at all, and they voted other parts of the ballot.
They could have voted for you instead of voting for nobody. And I think it was. I mean, like I said, that was you did the best of any Republicans ever done in District 19. Nobody's come close to what your numbers were. Just like when I got 36% that same year in District 15, no one's come close to my 36%.
Things have changed a lot since then.
Yes, they have.
Voter registration for Republicans has plummeted.
Back then, we had 170,000 registered Republicans in Montgomery County. We're down to below 100,000 now.
Yeah, it's very, very different at this point in time. But I don't know. I mean, it's just to see the how things have just changed along that line, just the fighting that goes on. I mean, the Trump administration, Trump has been trying to take affordability a little more seriously now. You talked about, gas prices. That's good. I mean, the president can't do a whole lot about that, but he can sure as heck, they can sure as heck take credit, if they do manage to kind of, if they see it going down, because people do look at gas prices at the pump matter to people a lot. We've gotten squeezed by inflation. Inflation may be 3% or less, but that cumulative effect of 3%, whatever. We had 5.1% average under the Biden administration 4 years. People are squeezed. I mean, there's the article in the Wall Street Journal and I think Dwight, you're a car buyer kind of guy. I think you've already seen this. I mean, there are now 100-month car loans. They only represent 1.6% of car loans out there, but it's still 1.6%. 33% of car loans now are for longer than 6 years.
Why? And my thoughts are, why would you finance a car for any more than 36 months?
Well, that's the thing is that what I think when I bought a car when I got married, 41 years ago. I think our car loan was 48 months, but I paid it off early. And it was $200 or something a month, but I managed to pay it off early. So, but you can't get a car loan for $200, right? Car loans are now like $700 because the cars are costing $50,000 or more on average. It's insane.
And I tell you, pretty much even a Corolla is, I think, around $20,000. And I see Toyota Corollas, the Tercels, the Nissan, whatever they call that car. Nissan had a Sentra, I think, their small car. I mean, I look at those as like throwaway cars, frankly. They're like $6,000-$7,000. You drive until they die, and if it's a Toyota Corolla, you'll get well over 150,000 miles on it. It's like, do you guys remember the old Chevrolet Chevette?
Yeah.
The Corvette's little sister.
Yeah.
I mean, that car. They were like cheap. They were like $15.95 is what they were. I remember back when the Washington Post had a whole bunch of car ads on Thursdays. Dick Stevens used to always advertise the Chevrolet Chevette for $1449.99. So for $1,500, you get a brand new car. And was the Chevette a great car? I think we had a 3.5, 4. We'd have a 2.5 cylinder engine, maybe a 4. But it was a car. It was affordable. But you could have always gone up to a Chevrolet Celebrity. That would have been about, or a Chevy Malibu. That would have been about $6,000, $7,000. And those, you could finance those. And also back then, I think cars were cheap enough where if you saved, you could pay cash for a car.
Yeah, I mean, people could pay cash for a car back in those days, but yeah, how many people can plunk down $50,000 in cash and walk away from the dealer? not too many.
Yeah, nowadays there's no reason to do that. Like when I bought my last Yukon, I was ready to pay cash for it. The guy goes, "Well, if you finance, you get another $5,000 off or $3,000 off." I go, "Well, I think it was $5,000 off." I go, "How long do I have to finance?" They go, "You have to finance for 36-month minimum, but you can pay it. There are no penalties of paying it off early." And the guy goes, "You got to keep the loan going for 3 months, and then okay, I go, that's fine. I'll do it for 3 months. The fourth month, I'll pay off the car." And that's what I did because I got $5,000 off. It's $5,000 off, frankly.
Yeah, when I sent my kids off to college, we got them a car after their first year because they live on campus the first year. After that, they can live off campus, and then they need a little more transportation. Cars were still relatively affordable, newer, and we got some, we got a good deal on the used car and stuff like that, and turned it over to them. But I think about Chris. You've got young kids and everything like that. At some point in time, they go off to college. It's like, whoa, giving them a car? Yes, no. Yeah.
Montgomery County, they can ride the ride.
Get them to school with with walkability and buses.
That's right.
The great University of Maryland, right there in College Park, is going to be a purple line.
In Provo now, in Provo area now, what they didn't have before, when my kids were going to school, was that they basically have kind of the bus and the rail system, which I believe the students pay little or nothing for, and so now a lot of it, if you're just trying to get around to points on campus and to some easy points, some places to do some light grocery shopping like a Walmart neighborhood store, you can take one of those, and it's pretty darn convenient. But I don't know that's as good for going on dates or something like that. But there are places within walking distance on campus. I guess you could go for a date.
But and here's also, have you noticed, Don, the price of a used car is almost the same as the price of a new car?
Right, that's the thing. I know people who bought a new car because the price of a used car was almost the same, and they're like, well, the difference, which used to be $10,000 or more, is now just a few $1,000s.
But Don, getting back to what you were just saying, what you're referring to, are you allowed to date at BYU? That's it.
Yeah. What is that?
You're thinking of Bob Jones. You're confused.
Where did that question come from?
Huh?
Dave, you're confusing with Bob Jones or Liberty. Not Liberty. Was it Regent?
Liberty, just for your edification.
About
so the church basically strongly suggests that the youth should not date until they're 16. Yeah. So that is their launching point or whatever for that. And most of them don't date at 16. They don't. They usually don't. A lot of them do kind of finding somebody to date at BYU, but the way the missions are going now, where they just adjusted the ages, so now kids who are 18 of either male or female can go at 18. Most of them are actually leaving. They go straight from high school into their mission for 18 months or 24 months, and then come back and do their schooling. Which is
gap here.
But it does result in a lot of marriages at the age of like 20 and 21. I see a lot of them.
Yeah.
And also, as we're coming close to the end of the show, let's just talk about some of the big stories we had this year. We had the Liberation Day tariffs, which seem to be working in the president's favor. We are seeing, one, inflation is going down, and two, we're actually seeing a dividend from these tariffs.
We haven't taken in, and we're not going to take in the kind of money that Trump thinks we are.
No, we're not. It's not going to eliminate the income.
And part of that too is that because he keeps adjusting the tariffs along the way. I mean, they announce these big tariffs, and then they ratchet them back when they find the point where it really works, and everything like that. So I think with affordability kind of in the spotlight, I think there's going to be even more tweaking going forward. tariff income is not going to be overly substantial to do. It's a drop in the bucket overall. But Trump is going to be Trump, and he's going to talk about his wonderful tariffs, so whatever.
We had the Charlie Kirk assassination
Yep.
not too long ago,
Yeah.
which I think really, really hit. This is the single one uniting factor for, I think, the conservative movement. Although yet, this Turning Point USA conference here did have some controversy, but then again, that's I remember at CPAC, when I was working at CPAC, you had the whole faction of the anti-Bush people in 2000, and
Well, I remember CPAC, you had the anti-Romney people.
oh yeah, remember Ron Paul would always win those presidential straw polls there, which proves the CPAC straw polls really don't mean much.
Well, those early days of that CPAC straw poll was just ludicrous, because basically, whether or not it was Sam Brownback or Mitt Romney or whoever, they just basically bust in X amount of supporters to vote.
Yeah, I agree. It's a
That
shame.
was all it was. It was pure ballot box stuffing.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, I remember we had a straw poll at remember the 2010 GOP convention in Ocean City. I remember we had a straw poll, and I engineered a second place finish for Mitch Daniels.
Wow.
And he didn't run for president in 2012. He should have. He didn't.
Well.
And then we also had USAID got shut down, or now it's I think it's closed, and the FBI is moving into those offices.
Well, and we found out all the crap garbage that they were funding. So
yeah.
So I mean, you have to say the USAID, Corporation for Public Broadcasting, National Public Radio, Department of Education, these kind of things of either defunding, reduced funding, shutting them down, just some form of dismantlement. Those are all big deals this year, because a lot of these things have been targets for the conservatives for 30 or 40 years, and nothing had been able to get done. Trump comes in here, and I mean, he is a ball of fire on his last term here, and it's just kind of like, we're just going to go for it. We're just going to push it, and we're going to go for it, and we're going to see, we're going to let the chips fall where they may, and see if the liberals can fight back. And and in the meantime, it exposes all the garbage, all the crap, as you said, that we've been funding.
Yeah. And the other thing is, Dwight, I don't want to hold us up, but we had the tragedy of Rob Reiner dying. Rob Reiner and the wife killed by the son, who apparently went nuts or had drug issues or something.
Yeah.
Mental issues. But anyway.
And as old as I am, I remember his dad. Right?
Yeah, I remember Carl Reiner.
He was Dick Van Dyke's boss on the Dick Van Dyke Show, right?
Yeah. No, I mean those old days. So and look, Rob Reiner, for all the garbage on his politics, was a very talented director, right? He did a lot. He did put out a lot of, well done movies and things like that. I think that the president should have just been generous and kind. Should have, instead of this vitriol, in terms of his truth. I wish Trump would just do this. Go ahead and write your Truth Social post and never post it. A lot of that stuff.
Imagine?
Write it out, get it out of your system. But the ones that don't help your cause, just delete it before you send it.
Yeah.
So Don, what do you think he'll say if Gloria Steinem dies in the next 3 years?
Well, same. It's all the same type. Any liberal that he hates or left winger he hates, it's like he's going to go after him, because that's just what he's shown to be. Is that he can't help himself.
And but Dick Van Dyke did turn 100, and he's still alive, Although he's not allowed to play with Legos anymore because it's 1 to 99 is the age limit. So he's too old to be playing with Legos now.
That's amazing, and he's long outlived Mary Tyler Moore, who was his partner in the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Well, I think it has a lot to do with he's married to a much younger woman, and he really does. They were doing an interview, and they were saying how he eats very healthy, he exercises every day. You know, that has something. You know, that might have something to do with it. You know, but then again, I know people that ate like crap and lived to 102.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to live to 100 though? I mean,
Not me.
I don't see the benefit in it.
Okay,
I don't have those sources either. I couldn't live. How would I support myself?
Right. I mean, that's part of the thing, right? Is that there's a certain point in time when you will probably you could run out of money.
Yeah, I don't have any kids or anything.
Well, by the way, speaking of, you guys mentioned this, there's some liberal I was watching on YouTube goes, you know, maybe we should say after you turn 85, you're not allowed to vote because you're not smart enough to vote for the. I'm thinking, like, really? You little millennial or post-millennial or generation alpha, you know, you're telling me I can't vote after 80 or 85? How about this? You can't vote till you're 27 because you vote like a moron anyway because your brain's not fully developed to 26 according to junk sciences, right?
Well, if the Democrats can gain votes out of the nursing homes where a lot of people are enfeebled.
All you do is mail in your ballot. We'll send somebody, they'll fill out your ballot for you. Arthritis, don't worry. We got someone that'll fill out the ballot for you. No, but I mean, it's the audacity of some of these Gen Alphas and millennials, not post-millennials, I should say, that are very arrogant about, like, this one of they had two people on the podcast that goes, well, I worry about my mother. She's 57 years old and she really doesn't understand this new technology. I don't think she should be voting. Really? You know. But yeah, and also happening this year, we had the Epstein Files release. Epstein Files, which I don't know. It seems like all the people the Democrats were hoping were in there aren't in there, and all the people they didn't want in there aren't in there, like Bill Clinton.
Like Bill Clinton, hot tub Bill Cronkite.
And Walter Cronkite.
Walter Cronkite, I didn't know that.
I heard Walter Cronkite was on that list. Yeah. By the way, Don, were you a little amused when 60 Minutes pulled a story last week on 60 Minutes, the very last week? I forgot what the story was. They pulled a story
On the El Salvador prison?
Yeah. That'll be good on 60 Minutes.
You know, look, CBS is a very different network right now under Barry Weiss.
Yeah.
She's good. She's good.
Yeah.
They need to do that to a few more stories where they make up for the Westmoreland interview.
Yeah.
They've got a lot more repenting to do before they can be brought back in. But I don't know if you saw today, Boxing Day. Who is it? Jimmy Kimmel. Who's the one with the beard? Jimmy Kimmel, the one that got fired? Is it Jimmy Kimmel?
Jimmy Kimmel's still on the air.
No, who's leaving? One of them's leaving the air.
Stephen Colbert's leaving. He's gone.
I think it was him that was doing the response, and talked about how fascism is on rise in his country and blah 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 blah. I'm sorry, buddy. If fascism was alive and well in America, you'd be at Gitmo right now being waterboarded probably. But you're not. You still have your show. You know, just because you can't blame the president for low ratings, frankly. Maybe if you have the president where your show and are fair to him, you might actually see a rating spike. But we are at final thoughts now. So, Chris, final thoughts.
Well, up in Pittsburgh, trying to avoid the great ice storm of 2025. So looking to make it back to Maryland this weekend, maybe Sunday night. Doing the Kim Klasick show this week to talk about the Western Maryland Innovation Center, or the corridor. And that's my plan to deal with affordability across a 10-year plan that would include updating infrastructure, requiring data centers, to have a clean energy source like a small modular reactor, and then also looking at strategic growth, how to align to some of the national security priorities with artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and then advanced manufacturing. So I'm looking forward to her show and going to get out quite a bit this week to get started 2026 with as much momentum as possible.
And also, where can we go donate to you because your filing deadline, your reporting deadline is coming up? Where do they go?
Right,
Donate?
I will be on the phone all week. So if you see my number pop up, it's a shameless political donation solicitation, but it's burnetforcongress.com.
Yeah. And go there, donate some money. Donate $10, $5. You know, that'll help you. That goes a long way.
It does. So thanks again. It's been a great year, Dwayne.
Yeah, and we look forward to the next year. You know, Dave, final thoughts.
Well, just continuing to write my column, so check me out on Substack, and my podcast is going well. So yeah, I'm keeping busy, and looking forward, hopefully, to a good 2026. Although I don't know, still a little nervous about it, but I think it could be a good year. And sorry about the passing of Rob Reiner. I didn't agree with his politics, but like Don said, I think he's a very talented director and all. I never cared as much for him as an actor, but I think as a director was probably his best role. And I think Trump made a big mistake in comment blasting him after he died. There's no reason to attack someone who's dead. I mean, it's just stupid.
Yeah, but that is the left does that to us. I mean, I'm not saying it's right, but the left does the same thing.
Yeah, I think Trump probably just hold his tongue is sometimes the best thing to do. But anyway, that's about it. And hoping to survive the ice storm. That's about it.
Okay. Final thoughts, Don or Ryan?
Final thoughts. Watching the kind of the defections over at the Heritage Foundation to Mike Pence's group, kind of an interesting development. I didn't even know that was brewing, but I think Kevin Roberts from Heritage Foundation has just made a major mistake, with his video that he did about Tucker Carlson and then not taking it down. They've had board resignations, plus they've having those defections. I mean, Hans von Spavkovsky, he's left. Cully Stimson has left. People from the Ed Meese Center have left. I mean, that's a big blow. I mean, the reaction from Heritage people is just that, they decided they fired some of those guys before they left, and said that there was kind of disloyal or unconscionable or something like that. But I mean, I think they've gone well all in on Trump to the point that I don't even know what the Heritage Foundation is anymore to a large extent.
I mean,
they've compromised a lot of things now.
I mean, Paul Weyrich, one of the founders of the original Heritage Foundation, would not recognize Heritage today.
Well, I kept thinking about Ed Filner. He wouldn't recognize what's going on, right?
I mean, Ed Filner, what is it? Jim Nicholson, I believe, was that the last the president, like three presidents ago at Heritage? He wouldn't recognize it either, frankly.
Yeah. So I mean, they went through a round of people after Fulner retired. Jim DeMint and all these guys. But
yeah,
it's kind of sad to see that they pivoted kind of to kowtow to Trump, but there's a limit to what you should be doing. I mean, if you're going to be the conservative think tank, be the conservative think tank, and just don't agree with everything that the administration does.
I remember the Heritage Foundation used to disagree with some of the things President Reagan did.
Yeah, sure.
They disagreed with President Bush, 41, 43. I mean, they're kind of, they used to be kind of East Coast Hudson Institute. The Hudson Institute was, they were independent. They called out on both sides foolishness, or as Montgomery Burns would say, tomfoolery.
Yeah, just a couple other things real quick. maybe it's time, if you've got a lot of unused silverware, like your parents' silverware, maybe you want to go out and hawk it now. Silver has gone crazy. It's blown past the 1980s, 70 bubble, which I remember all too well because I bought silver coins thinking that this was going to go up, and not realizing as a young person that the Nelson Bunker Hunt and those guys were just manipulating the market.
Yeah.
Silver promptly went from like the $50 an ounce or close to the that I paid for it to like 15. Now, if I could only find those silver coins, I have no idea where
You
they
know,
are.
it's funny. I actually have some quarters. Remember, quarters used to be made of real silver.
Quarters and dimes.
I used to have like a box of them. So they're probably in the attic over at my mom's house. Actually, it's funny. When I was there, I found like 2 boxes full of pictures from high school, middle school, college. I'm like, I took a lot of pictures with my camera. And that was when you only had 24 or 36 shots you could take.
See, and I keep thinking about my parents' silverware. I'm like, I don't think we've used that silverware much in the 41 years.
Yeah, my parents never used theirs either, but they had real silver.
Yeah, it was real silver, and it's like it's worth real money now.
Yeah.
And you know the funny thing is,
$75 an ounce. It's worth real money. So maybe I can convince my wife it's time to cash out and clear up some space, because if I hold on to it, the only thing that's going to happen is that it's going to go to my kids, and they'll just do the same thing. Because how many people actually use real silverware anymore?
Yeah,
Don, how many people use real china?
Yeah.
And, like real like the bone china. Who uses that? Like my mom's got a whole bunch of that stuff, and she actually was telling me, well, let's see, when did I get down there? Yeah, actually, it was Christmas Eve, earlier the day, the 23rd, actually. She goes, next time you go to the house, she goes, you may want to just start seeing if you could sell the china on eBay, or just give away to whoever wants them. I'm like, Mom, nobody wants that china. Because one, you can't put it in the dishwasher, and nobody likes silver because you got to polish it.
Yeah.
Right. I remember that.
Yeah.
Although nowadays we got better cleaner, but I'm willing to bet that probably strips away some of the silver.
That reminds me, I would help my mom polish the gravy boats. I got a bunch of stuff probably in that cabinet upstairs.
Do you remember when Tarnex came out, Tom?
Yo, my gosh, yeah.
And then you just dip the silver in, and look, it's clean.
Yeah, that's memory lane. All right, and then the last thing is kind of a personal note, but it's a sad note too, just because I can relate to this. So we had an announcement this past week that from Ben Sass, the former senator, that he has stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and so that that is basically the end stage. Unfortunately, we lost Spencer. I lost my son Spencer to pancreatic cancer 2 years ago, and it happened very, very quickly. Maybe Ben will get lucky and get 6 months or something like that, but at stage 4, it's pretty grim, and it's kind of time to put your affairs in order. And I don't think Ben Sass is all that old.
53. He's only 53.
Yeah. So we're seeing pancreatic cancer in younger people. It's not 70-year-olds and 80-year-olds like it used to be. It is actually trickling down to younger people. So
it's sad. I not to interrupt you, but just you mentioned it. I knew one person who lived fairly long with pancreatic cancer. I think it was a good year and a half, and he was still going. He was still working for a great chunk of that time. But you're right. It's invidious because you don't really have much in the way of symptoms. And then by the time you discover it, it's really sort of too late.
Yeah. Just because of where the pancreas is located, there's no way to really detect it. There's no test you can do.
Yeah.
You can go to the doctor all you want, and they're not going to figure this out initially. But if you start having a lot of stomach aches and some other issues with your, like that, then they start thinking about it, and then then if you get a PET scan, then they can start picking up. But in order to see it, it's got to actually, you actually have to, have to take a scan. And like you said, by the time they detect it, for most people, it's too late.
Yeah.
The survival rate, I think the 5-year survival rate's like 6 or 7%. Maybe it's up a little bit more. So it's creeping up, but it's a long slog. So it's an unfortunate death sentence. So anyway, that's it. Back to you, Dwight.
All right, Father Times. I'll be back next week in Maryland for the New Year's Eve festivities and so on. Don, I tried on a tux I had. That's like 20 years old. It fit better than it did whenever. So
I wish I could say the same.
I may want to put the tux on and go somewhere. And stay tuned. I got more old high school and college years pictures to post. You know what's funny, Don? I had a picture of Dan Quayle. I posted, and I also posted a picture of with Linda Carter. Wonder Woman got more likes and views than.
Yeah, you'd mentioned that. Well, she's very beautiful.
Yeah.
I've got a picture with Chuck Norris around here somewhere, but I think I lost it.
Didn't you get one with Xena the Warrior Princess, by the way? Our friend Matt has like 3 or 4 with Xena the Warrior Princess.
Well, we went to those
RT&A show.
When we were doing the TV show, we went to those the trade show, with the Hollywood people and stuff like that. So they would, all these booths would have some of these actors and actresses. So we'd get those Polaroids, but it's like, after a while you kind of lose track of we moved.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to this stuff.
I got my picture with Reggie White. Remember Reggie White, the defensive lineman?
That's a great one. Yeah.
I thought I lost my picture with Senator D'Amato. I found that. Not in the best condition, but I found it. But
like finding a rare baseball card.
Mm-hmm. But I tell you, this generation they will probably delete more pictures than I have taken on film.
That's probably right.
And I was thinking as I'm looking at these pictures, I go, damn, this is out of focus. This is out. I go, if I had an iPhone back then, they would all be pristine. They'd be digital. They wouldn't be, But thanks to AI, I'm able to, it does, if it's just slightly out of focus, it's able to fix that issue. And they can actually make them 4K and so on. So getting close to perfection with AI. And I'll leave you all with that thought, how, embrace AI, don't fear it. It's not here to take your jobs. It's here to make you more efficient.
All righty.
Good night, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
See you next year.
See ya.
Let's go down to Missoni, where Italian cuisine